Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this review of the Sivga SV007s. So this is a review of a headphone, and if you're not interested in headphones, I suggest you just close this video right now. So I'm going to start off. Sivga SV007 is not manufactured by the company Sivga. Sivga? I hope I'm going to butcher their name. All of this video is just going to be me butchering names probably. The original OEM, as far as I've been able to tell, is a company called BossHiFi in China. And then they license out their product to Sivga, and as far as I can tell, one or two other companies. I'm not quite sure. The product itself is available on Amazon. There's copies on eBay. You can get it cheaper on AliExpress and probably other Chinese e-commerce websites. I just bought mine from Amazon for just the ease of wanting to return it if I needed to return it. And in this review, I'm going to be comparing these quite substantially to the Philips SHP 9500. And the reason I'm doing that is basically because the Philips SHP 9500, apparently it's not being made anymore because Gibson closed down and nobody has a license to make more of them, so their price is going up. And we have to find a replacement for them, basically, which is what led me to these SV007s. So, I first heard about the SV007s on Reddit. Somebody mentioned them, and I went to look at them, and I was like, hey, those actually look really nice. And the reviews for them are really, really good. Like, I mean, there's one 2-star review, and that's it. And that's what he says. Right there. Oops. He wanted to supersede his ATH M30Xs, blah, 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 blah. And of course, because the M30X is closed back, it's probably going to have better bass performance anyway. And he doesn't apparently like treble. So, he gave it a bad review because his personal preferences apparently led him to give it a bad review, which I think is just honestly not a good way to review a product, but whatever. He be he, I be me. So, this is the product, and as you can tell, it actually, I guess, fallacy of statement, as I thought, it looked really nice. Like, it looks like it's wood, it looks like it's some sort of plastic or metal, it looks like it's leather. It's got fenestrated leather pads, they look pretty decent size, it's got a detachable cable down there. Let's see here, what else is there about it? It swivels 180 degrees all the way around, and the cups tilt. It's got a slider mechanism, which I'll get to later, and then it comes with actually some not bad accessories considering its price. So it's got a hard carrying case, which basically I plan to only use to throw them in my luggage and carry them with me on trips, because these are pretty much worthless on an airplane. It's got 2 cords. One is 1.3 meters and has an inline mic and volume controls for use with your cell phone. The other cord is 1.8 meters, no controls, and they're both a kind of a stiff cloth of some sort, braiding on them. They're a little janky, but they're not bad by any means. Like, they're not crappy, just rubber springy things. Like, they're not the best cables. They're not like Fidelio X2 cables, or like just a regular even Sennheiser cable that they just lay down where you want them to. These are a little springy. They don't want to lose their kinks easily, but they're not bad cables. And then the bigger cable, the 1.8 meter one, screws into the, let's just open this, just screws into the 3.5 to 6.3, 6.4, 6.2, whatever adapter. And then it also comes with the airplane adapter, which I don't think anybody has ever used in the history of ever. And the box itself was pretty nice. It came with a sleeve on the outside. The box flaps open, it's just a box. Except I like the way their logo looks, I'll admit that. Sivga has a great looking logo. It's modern without being just over the top or gaudy. It just looks nice. So we'll close that down. And let's go back to, they just look stylish. I mean, you can't deny that. They just look good. So it comes in 2 types, rosewood and walnut, and I got the rosewood variety, which I like a little bit better than the walnut. It's just this nice reddish color, reminds me of a nice suntan cherry wood, which If you know cherry gets a little bit darker as you leave it in the sun, develops a very nice red. and this looks kind of like that. It's just a very nice color, and it just fits these headphones really nicely. 50mm drivers, blah blah blah. Anything else I didn't cover? And it says it's premium leather. Doesn't quite smell like that, and I've put my nose to it. It smells a little plasticky, but it feels like leather. I mean, I don't know. It probably is leather, and I just can't tell if it's real or not. It just might be a lower quality leather, or they might have covered it with something, or the stain might be confusing me a little. So I'm going to go into the build quality next, because this is what really surprised me when I first picked these up. I'm going to go back in time a little. When I first got into headphones, the first thing I got was a Sennheiser PC363D, which is the precursor to the 373. And when I first picked that up, it was nice. Like, it was plastic, but it was nice. It didn't creak, blah blah blah. It was just a nice, solid set of head cans. After that, I got a Fidelio X2, and when I picked that thing up, it was like, wow, this is what every product should be like. You should pick it up and it should feel good. It shouldn't rattle, it shouldn't creak, it should just be the solid, well-built thing. And then I got my SHP 9500s. They're not as well-built as the X2s or even probably the 363, but the 9500 is well-built. Nobody can deny that. It fits well, it doesn't creak. My HE4XXX, they're built well, they don't creak, etc., etc., etc. When I picked these up, what I was expecting was something more like a CB1. I was expecting a little creakiness. I was expecting a little bit of a loose fit. And when I picked these up, that wasn't there. These were solid. Not super heavy, but not light. Like, they felt premium. They felt like a good product should. And, I mean, what else do you want in a headphone? You want it to last. These feel like they're going to last. You might want a different cable because the cable it comes with, well, not the best cable, not the worst cable. It's a little janky. Put a new cable on this, like a V-Moda cable, and this thing it'll be sexy. I mean, that's what I did with mine. I just put my V-Moda cable on it, and it's great. The rest of the build quality, beyond just picking it up, though, is equally impressive. So we'll go to this picture next. These hinges right here, not hinges, wow. These sliding extensions are all metal. This is all metal. This is all metal underneath the leather headband. This is all metal. These yokes are all metal. These grills and the rings around them are all metal. It's honestly literally like going to a 9500 X2 where it's just this high quality, well built, but budget oriented headphone. It's really, really good. I mean, the wood is nice. There's no marks in the wood on mine. Like, there's no imperfections at all. It's got like a satin finish to it, which I really appreciate. It's not super glossy. It does not pick up fingerprints, and it just feels like kind of warm. That's my phone. Shut up, phone. These extension sliders, when you pull them out, they're clicky. They're not like so stiff that you have trouble with them, but they're not gonna like slip around either. When you click them out, they're gonna stay where you put them, and it's almost a joy with how perfect they are. There's also like almost no plastic on this thing. The only plastic I could find, let's see if I can get a picture of it, is right there at the pin, where the pins are to connect the headphone to the yoke. There's like a nylon little bead in there, or maybe a plastic or rubber bead of some sort in there, like hiding the pin or the screw that the headphone is swiveling on. That's the one piece of plastic that you can kind of see. There's another piece of plastic, and I'm not sure there's a video or a picture that I can find that'll show it exactly. I guess there isn't a picture, but when the wire comes over the headband and into the yoke, and down through the yoke and into the cups, there's actually a piece of plastic that they've inset into the cup. So the cup itself is this U shape. They put the wire into that, and then they cover that with another piece of fitted plastic. So when you open it up and you look inside those yokes, you see this black plastic. You don't see the wire. The wire is not exposed. It's just I mean, the amount of extra engineering they put into this product, where they could have probably saved a few pennies here and a few pennies there and still sold it at this price, they didn't do this. I mean, they did what everybody should do with a headphone that feels this well. So fuck you, Beyerdynamics, and my DT990s that I never use because the stupid exposed coiled wire irritates me. These things, just like the X2s, like the SHP 9500s, like the Sennheisers, any Sennheiser basically, I think, that I have at least, it hides the wire. And when you've got a premium product, you should always do that. I mean, some people like the exposed wire look, some people don't, I don't. But the fact that they took the extra step to hide that wire and then cover it with another piece of plastic and then cover the pin locations where the cups connect to the yoke with another like little piece of nylon or plastic, like that just impresses me. Like I'm just in wow. So like the sliders here, the wire comes down on the back side of the slider. There's a little channel, so when you pull out the slider you can see the wire. And it comes down a channel, it goes into here, it comes down into the yokes, and then goes into the cups. In fact, I think it's better construction quality than the SHP 9500. I'm going to say that. Slightly. I mean, the SHP 9500 still has that ridiculously over-engineered swiveling mechanism with the tape on it, and then if you look inside the grills, it says SHP 9500, and they're beautiful. But this is equal to, if not a tiny bit better than the SHP 9500 in terms of overall construction quality so far. And then the 3.5 millimeter jack is gold plated, I think. It looks gold, so I don't know. I'm not going to get a metal allergic heat test for it. It is what it is. It's solid, it's not going anywhere, it doesn't jiggle, it's got a good fit for all of my cables I've tried on it. Now, you might be looking at this port, and I'm going to move on now to this port. The SHP 9500, the Sennheisers, and the Beyerdynamics, Hi-Fi Men's, everybody else, when they do an open back headphone, because you know there's open back, there's semi-open back, and there's closed back, when they do an open back headphone, it's usually a pretty big port. And these seem to be taking a cue more from the design that is used in stuff like the Philips Fidelios L1 and L2, where it's a smaller port. But it doesn't seem like a smaller port when you're actually using them. These things leak sound. In fact, there's probably as much sound going in towards your ear as there is coming out of the damn thing on these, despite the small sizes of that port. And I guess that works. I'm not an audio engineer, but it works. If it works, why change it? Also, that's a metal grill with a metal ring around it. It's not plastic. Like, people think it's plastic. It's not plastic. Like, I took a little file from a nail clipper and scratched mine up a little bit, and it's definitely some sort of metal underneath it. It might be a cheap metal, but it's still metal, and I'm not going to begrudge them as long as they use metal. I hate plastic, to be honest. So, moving on to the fit and the comfort, and this is where this thing actually starts to shine. Not against the SHP 9500 so much, but against the other sub-$100 contenders, except for maybe like the Tackstars / Cloud series from HyperX. These are legitimately one of the most comfortable leather headphones, leather ear cupped headphones that I have actually worn. And I normally hate leather. I really don't like leather touching any part of my head, except for like the top band up here. These are super comfortable. It's a fenestrated? I hate that word too. Fenestrated leather. They're thick. They're not quite memory foam, but they're not like just random crappy foam either. And the top band has plenty of padding both on the top of the pad and on the bottom of the pad, and it's super comfortable. And personally, I wear these not at all extended because my head's just not that tall, and these just fit me perfectly. It's actually kind of a miracle. If these were any longer at the minimal extension, I couldn't wear them without adding like something around the headband, and that would make it uncomfortable. But as it is out of the box, these are comfortable. And it's one of the things that always troubles me when people recommend something like the M40X as a budget-oriented sub-$100 product is no, the M40X is not, well, it's $99. It's not a $100 product. It's like a $120 or $130 product because you have to put better pads on it. This is a true sub-$100 product with good pads. In fact, these are fantastic pads. I don't know how long they're going to last, and if I have to eventually replace them, that's fine because it's a standard slip-in around the edge style of pad. And out of the box, they're super comfortable. Why can't more headphone manufacturers do that? I don't know. It's always just additional cost, probably. These aren't the biggest pads. They fit around my ears, but just barely. As in the bottom part of my earlobe and just the tiniest fraction, and as well as like the top outside edge, they kind of touch the inside cloth covering the driver. So where's the picture of that one? That picture right there. So right there, like it's, I'm going to use the Zeos measurement. It's not quite a 2-knuckle, but it's not quite a 3-knuckle. It's kind of between the two. It's a 2.5 knuckle. But it's comfortable, and it's soft, and the clamp is perfect. And that's another area where it's better than the SHP 9500. The problem with the SHP 9500, as comfortable as it was that it was too loose. So there's a couple things you could do with that. You could put different pads on them, which was a chore. You could put little dense foam or cardboard rings on the inside of the ear cups, which would add a little bit more pressure. But that's just extra work, and then it looks kind of silly. Unless you've got a super wide head, the SHP just kind of fit loosely, and I'd always have to constantly adjust my pair while I was just sitting at a computer trying to play a game, and like, oh, my SHPs are like sliding down, let's adjust them. When I put these on, they stay where they are. They don't slide. They've got like the perfect headband to ear cup height for me. And the ratcheting extension mechanism is sturdy enough that they're not going to slide around. Like, they're not going to just suddenly get looser. They're going to stay where you put them. So if you have them at like halfway on each side, it's going to stay there. They're not going to slip off, and that's such an important thing that people gloss over on the 9500 sometimes, is that if you, as comfortable as the 9500s are, if you have to constantly adjust them because they're slipping and sliding and they don't have enough clamp pressure, then there's a problem with them. And even though that problem can be solved, these SV007s don't have that problem. And they're basically the same price that people have been buying 9500s for. They're the same price. They're actually cheaper than M40Xs, even though M40Xs are, again, a closed back, and these are an open back. The other thing that these cups do is they fold flat, which makes moving them around really easy and storing them really easy because they fold flat. They're flat packed. I'm gonna move on to sound now, and this is when I first reviewed these, and I put it up on Reddit, and I was stupid and I shouldn't have done that. So when I first reviewed them, I basically had a giant patch of potatoes in my ears. I had enough potato in my ear to feed an Irish family of 12 for a month. I was also dead tired and sore because I had just gotten off a couple days of hard work. The package came in the mail. I got excited, went upstairs, opened it, put them on, played video games, watched some movies, and did a bunch of stuff with them for 3 hours to test them out and get my opinions on them. And I was like, you know what? These aren't so great. I mean, they're okay. They're $90. We have to find a replacement for the SHP 9500s or something. And then somebody on Reddit said that their experience is way different. I was like, okay, well, people are different. And then I went and read like all the reviews I could find for it, and everybody was basically on the same page for these, which was not the page I was on. And that bothered me. I could have left it at my review and given them to my dad, and he would have loved them. But instead I went, got some sleep, woke up, did stuff, went back to sleep, cleaned my ears. That's the most important part, clean my ears. And then I woke up again, and for 2 days, I tested these. And these are the only things I put on my head for 2 days for basically 12 to 14 hours in total. Might be a little bit more than that. It's hard to remember. I tested them on my cell phone, and as usual, nothing sounds good out of a cell phone. Samsung Galaxy S7, I've never had a pair of headphones except for the L1s and the... can't remember the ones I had. random Sony XB400s, I think. Those are the only things that sounded even mediocre out of my Samsung S7. Nothing ever sounds good. These didn't sound good out of it, so that's really not a valid test in my opinion. Took them to my parents' house, put them on my dad's old Sony receiver, Bang & Olufsen receiver. Went to my office, put them just on my regular desktop computer with a Realtek 8 something something out the front audio, not the rear, out the front audio jack. And just listened to music at the office while I worked. Then I took them home, plugged them into my E10K, and then I plugged them into my Magni 2, and then I plugged them into my frickin' just my motherboard, which is a Z97 something with another Realtek 8XX series, I think. It might be a little higher than that, but I'm not, it doesn't matter. As long as I did not plug these into a cell phone or just a shitty piece of shit equipment, they actually sounded good. And I'm not talking just like SHP 9500 good or Samsung SR850 good. They sounded really good. They didn't have a right to sound that good. In fact, it became almost like I thought I was delusional and had like a tumor in my brain that was making these sound better than they could. So I let my dad try them. He's like, wow, these are amazing. And my dad's not as into audio as I am, but he's really picky. I gave them to my mom, and she said they sounded really good. I gave them to a friend of mine who is into audio, but he's more into like actual speakers and stuff. He doesn't have a lot of headphones. He agrees that they sound good. They're just good, good, good. Not amazing, but good. And what is it that these actually do well? Well, first I'm going to define what sort of air quote shape they are, and they're definitely a V-shaped headphone. They're definitely treble emphasized with a little bit of bass emphasize. So if you like treble but don't want super bass, this is kind of where you want to be in a headphone. The soundstage and imaging, as ambiguous as those terms appear to be sometimes, is downright impressive. I've always applauded the SHP 9500, the X2, the 6XX, the 4XX. They all have good soundstage. And for the money, the SHP 9500 was just the best. It was amazing. Then I tried these, and I played a bunch of shooters. I played a bunch of non-shooters. I played things that required positional audio cue, basically, to be successful in the game. I did some 3D audio tests with them that I found online that seemed to work well, and compared them against other headphones I had, and time again, like, these fantastic things that have no right to be as fantastic as they are, which sounds like we're quoting a review of a Ship 9500 for somebody that's gotten them for the first time. These are just amazing. The imaging and the level of ability to pinpoint where a sound is coming from is incredible. I mean, to me, and that's just my opinion, these are incredibly good at locating where a sound is. Back, front, above, below, left, right, front, right, rear left, rear right. It didn't matter. These things could do it. And they did it in a way that was still clean, and just everything was still separated out so you could tell here's the highs, here's the mids, here's the lows. Here's a high sound over here, here's a low sound over here. There's the drums in the back, the singer in the front, the bass on the left, the bass on the right, and there might be even a clarinet in there somewhere. You could tell where that is. They weren't perfect. They're definitely not top-of-the-line, multi-$1,000 headphones, in which case you're just running into diminishing returns anyway on those. But for $89, these were as good as most of my collection, if not as good as most of my collection when I get past bias. Because I'm really biased to love my X2s and my 6XX. I love those two headphones. These kind of are like, almost like the DT990. They're kind of like that, except they don't have that stupid exposed wire that the DT990 has. So, there's that. And these are a lot cheaper. Alright, so then back to the sound. So you've got this treble emphasis, and it's not a super treble emphasis. With a bit of EQ, or maybe even just a thicker or denser pad covering the driver to tune that out just a little bit, these would go from really good to just fantastic. And because I normally don't like treble, I thought I was just honestly going to hate these. But I spent 4.5 to 5 hours in my office at my computer, and while listening to like Meatloaf and Queen and System of a Down and yes, Linkin Park even, and a couple other artists in there, the treble really didn't bother me because the clarity of the music and the separation of details of each individual note and the instruments got me past that. And that's what I think these things do special, is that these, despite being emphasis on treble, and they're not to emphasize to the point of harshness or sibilance, but they let you have that separation and detail and clarity that you want to hear in your music if you like listening for details. If you like just a jumbled, bassy, muddled mess, there's other headphones for you. But these were just... What the fuck? What? It's like flashbacks to Philips all over again. What the fuck, Philips? Except it's what the fuck, Sivga, or BossHiFi, the OEM company. The mid is neutral. I mean, there's no emphasis on the mid. It's just there. But it's not clouded, it's not veiled, it's not covered by anything else. And the bass has a slight emphasis on it. It's not super powerful bass. Like, it's definitely not like a planar magnetic powerful bass. But it's there, and it's clear. And you know it's bass. It doesn't cover up the treble. It doesn't cover up the mids. And again, we just get back to just the clarity and the separation in the tones between all the instruments, all the track that this thing can do. And I keep using the it's amazing, because it really is amazing to me that there's a product that exists out there for $90, which not only surpasses the $9,500 in most places, if not ties it, and then does so with this level of quality coming from an unknown name. Now, maybe BossHiFi is a known name somewhere else in China, and I'm reviewing this from America, and these are the Sivga 007s, but besides the point, like, this product that exists, it's incredible. And yes, I think people should go out and try it if they're looking for a headphone that kind of matches the characteristics that this can do. This is great for FPS gaming when you want to know where the footsteps are, where the gunshots are, where the creak in the floorboard is of somebody crawling around. This does that. Despite that small port, it leaks a lot. So I would call this a full open back, just based on how much sound leaks out of it. It doesn't actually leak that much back in, which makes me think there's like some sort of full surround around the driver itself. So the sound is going one way, but also the other way, but there's like a solid barrier between the outside and the inside somehow. Maybe, I don't know. I would have to take them apart. I'm not about to do that yet. What else haven't I covered for these? I'm trying to think. They're comfortable. They're quality. I mean, as good as quality you can get for probably a couple $100. I mean, once you get past a couple $100, and you're getting into diminishing returns anyway, and there's still some pretty crappy, poorly made products up there anyway. But I guess these are mass-produced, and you save money mass-producing things. These are super high quality. They're not just going to break unless you step on them or you sit on them or you throw them across the room. If you take care of these and treat them well, like you should any product really, you take them off your head, you put them on your rack, you put them on your desk, cup down, they're going to last a long, long time. If you're a gamer, they'll do what you want. If you like detail in your music, but not a super large amounts of bass, they do that. They're comfortable. They can sit on my ears, which is something no other leather ear-padded headphone can do. These things can sit on my ears, on my head, for 4.5 to 5 hours without me really even noticing them while I'm working. And that's what you want in a headphone if you want to use it to listen to music or podcasts or just like talking in the background from a video. This does this. Like, I cannot find a bad thing about them other than the chords are kind of mediocre and the pads are just a little bit too small. Just a bit. And we're talking like a millimeter or two from me For other people, that might be more. For other people, they might be just too big. It's all personal preference. There really is nothing wrong with these that I can find that makes me think that these aren't worth $89. These are worth $89. These are worth a lot more than $89, and I really hope they stay at this price. And I'm actually infatuated with these headphones because they've changed my view on what a headphone can be and what I enjoy about music. And it's weird because when I put on my X2s or my 6XXs or the 4XXs, the 990s, the 9500s, the L1s, the HD 280s, my Cloud 2s, which are Takstar Pro 80s basically. What else do I have? The 363s. I honestly wish I had more headphones because I love headphones. This 007, the SV007 is genuinely just interesting. And maybe it's not a super fun headphone, but it's very interesting because a lot of those other headphones lack the clarity and detail and separation that this does. Or they have it and I've gotten so used to them that trying this with leather pads versus all my cloth and veneer padded stuff just makes these stand out more. So basically, if you're looking for a good budget headphone and you want to do gaming or you just want to do low bass emphasis, some treble emphasis, music or videos, these are actually really good for like Lord of the Rings, I think. Once you do have to do a little bit of EQing because there is a little bit of sibilance in some things, but they pull out a lot of detail that I've been missing in my Lord of the Rings DVDs. I would not advise these for Equilibrium though. These kind of hurt when I tried to watch Equilibrium. Also Serenity. But for Lord of the Rings, The Last Samurai on these was really, really good. I enjoyed that experience a lot. But if you're looking for a headphone, you got $100 right here. This thing right here. I would 100% recommend it beyond a shadow of a doubt. I'm not being paid for this at all. I'm not being sponsored in any way. They didn't send me a pair of these. I literally saw a Reddit post about them, said, hey, check these out. I like them. I was like, okay, I'll check them out. And I was happy. I was really happy. Like, these weren't like the M40Xs that I tried like half a year ago, where I put them on my head, took them off, and returned them because they were so uncomfortable out of the box. These are comfortable out of the box. They sound good out of the box. They do so many things well, if not amazing, out of the box, that it should be illegal. Like, it does not make sense how good these are. I mean, I just have to applaud whoever designed these headphones and got them manufactured at BossHiFi. Awesome frickin' job. And then Sivga, SV007, for bringing them to the US market via Amazon, because I don't think you can find the, BossHiFi. Yeah, you can find some of their other products under different brands, I guess, but yeah, they make a bunch of like headphones and IEMs that are like wood. I think that's what they do, is they make wooden cups and wood IEMs, BossHiFi, and then Sivga brings them to the US market, and BossHiFi mostly stays in the Asian market. And they've got a couple other, and I'm not sure if this is like the name of the headphone or a different company. I'm not going to bother looking it up for BossHiFi. I don't honestly know. By Yuli, I don't know how any of that works. So again, these are based off of BossHiFi B7s, which I probably should have mentioned at the beginning of the video, but I kind of skipped over the model number for BossHiFi's model number. But buy them, try them, and hell, if you don't like them, maybe you just don't like this sort of thing. And it's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's people have different preferences. And I thought I did too. I thought I liked much warmer, much more bass emphasized lower treble. Until I tried these for hours and hours and hours and hours. I was like, I'm enjoying this clarity of treble and mids and bass and how it's separated, but not like separated and disjointed, but how each tone, each note is separated and clear, then I can differentiate it from the other notes and tones and the other instrument playing over here and the other instrument playing over there and the singer here. And it's... I feel like I'm just gushing about these at this point. So yeah, I mean, that's what these are. This is the Sivga SV007. The OEM is BossHiFi, model number B7, and give them a try.